Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another engaging and exciting series under our WLIDership Series. Today, we are talking about building credibility and influence across generations, unlocking success in your professional journey. And we have on board two very wonderful people who will be helping us with our discussions. My name is Sheila Ristberg, and I'm your moderator for today. This webinar is brought to you by Women Leadership in Insurance Africa, wli-africa. Now, wli-africa is a leadership development network for female professionals in working in insurance, risk management, sustainability, and ESGs in Africa and the diaspora. But whilst the network is for female professionals, we also have allies who are our male professionals who join us every now and then for our programs, and who have also signed us to be members and allies. So today, before we go into the discussions, I'd just like to give a few ground rules. We are starting our Zoom session at 4, and we are hoping to be done in the next hour. It might go into an hour 20 or an hour 30 minutes, but we are hoping that by 5:40 GMT, by 5:30 GMT, we should be done. And a few house rules as well. The session is going to be recorded, so we'd like you to take note of that. And the recording will be shared with all participants at the end of the session. Keep your questions in the chat box, and we'd like everyone to mute themselves so that only the speakers can be heard during the session. We'll also have a Q&A session, so if you have any questions, you can keep it or you can write it in the chat box in the course of the session. And we'll have 2 polls in the course of the session. I'd like to welcome on board my 2 panelists who are going to be here with us today. The first panelist that we have, the first panelist that we have is Iara Sousa. Iara is the founder of Mozambique Women in Insurance, and she's also the underwriting manager at Emeritus Reinsurance in Mozambique. Iara, if you're here, can you let us see you? So whilst Iara comes on board, I'd also like to introduce our other panelists that we have on board today. We have Tobi Osanaiye.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Iara. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thank you.
We are so happy to have you here today. Thank you for joining us all the way from Mozambique.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to exchange ideas with all professionals willing to learn more and to exchange. Yes.
We are happy to have you here, Iara.
Thank you.
So apart from Iara, we have another person, Tobi Osanaiye. He is the president of WLIAFRA, and he's a senior business development executive of FFBSV in Nigeria. Tobi, are you around?
Yes, I'm here. Got me a sec. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Sheila. And it's nice to be
Tobi.
here.
Yes, we know you've been looking forward to this because you came on board before everyone else did. Tobi was here at 3:30. So we are very excited to have you as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So I didn't want to bore people too much with your profiles, but I read a lot and I was very impressed. So I just want you to, maybe we'll start with you, Tobi, then Iara can also answer. But can you tell us about what you think has been the highest point in your career?
A very sweet question, because I've had several dimensions to that. But I think I would take it from the extent that when professionals, the African content together, since and decided to come up with the African Association of Young Insurance Professionals. I think that moment, that period was the most trying period, if I must say, because it involved you dealing with several people from diverse cultures and diverse traditions. And it is of course, and different time zone as well. And it is your responsibility as a leader to see how best you can put all those into perspective when you're trying to set up whatever agenda that you want to set. So trust me, I can tell you for sure that it was one of the most trying times and one of the things that I've been able to execute that today, I think when I look back and look at all the energy put in, I see it as a fruitful one. Thank you.
So, and I was doing a job. Remember, heard that was such an organization. I was so impressed because I think that the vision to bring together leaders from all over Africa is very laudable. So thank you so much for that initiative, and we wish you all the best as time goes on. Iara, could you answer that question for us as well?
Yes, and it's a bit fun.
What do you think has been the highlight of your career?
Technology, go online and take an assessment to know your strength and to know what are you good at. If you're on a stage where you have someone you can trust, you can ask someone to describe you. The person will show you the strength that you have and what is good about you. It is also a very good way to do it because you'll be hearing it from someone that deals with you. And the other way that I also see it as if you go through your resume. When we are applying for jobs, we do have our resumes and where we describe ourselves. We try to show our skills, and it will be a great way to see how you describe yourselves, how you see yourself. It also can help you. And the other thing that I also see is that when you find your passion, know your why. It is basically when you start paying attention to the things that you do on a daily basis, what excites you, what energizes you, what are the tasks that you complete easily, and what are the things that they come natural to you. There are things that we do because we have to do, but there are things that are easy because we feel there is a kind of adrenaline when performing a task. It is also one of the best ways to go about your strengths and skills. And then once you identify your strengths and you are sure about it and you know about it, you start the process of leveraging it. So I would say for me, I start by setting my professional goals, know exactly where I want to go, what I want to do, and how the skills that I have will help me to reach my potential goals. And at some point, you also at a workplace, you can start showing evidence about your strength. It is basically when you try and show to your supervisors, to management, and that I'm good performing it. And because of the skills that I have, I've managed to accomplish A, B, C, D. It is a moment where you have evidence about the qualities that you have. And then the other point as well is when you basically strengthen your strengths. It is the moment where you identify your strengths, and from that moment you start studying about it, you start reading about it, and you start trying ways to improve it so that you can take advantage of it. And then if you go forward, you go to a moment where after strengthening your strengths, you build a routine. Routine is power. And from the moment that you use your strength and you build a routine around it, you know that you can get better. You can start reading books and articles that will improve your skills, or better yet, you can start being a mentor. There is no age to be a mentor. That is one thing that I would say, that you don't have to be the manager to be a mentor. From the moment that you feel that you have the skill, you can start mentoring. And one of the best ways to see if you master something is by teaching it. From the moment that you're comfortable teaching it, so you become an unstoppable force. Those are the main points that I have. And then as a tip on a daily basis, as young professionals, we need to learn how to focus on ourselves, focus on you. Stop seeing if the other garden is better. Stop seeing what others are doing to just copy and paste. You build what you want. Focus on what you are doing, your skills, and where you can reach. It is one of the fundamental things that you can basically do with your skills and strength. Thank you, Sheila.
Thanks so much, Iara. I think we could even stop here today and we would have learned so much, because I heard you saying that our strengths are things that come naturally to us. You were talking about setting professional goals once we find out what our strengths are. You were talking about showing evidence of how we've been able to use our strength in our work. You were talking about improving our strengths. We were talking about building a routine, mentoring others, because once we are teaching someone, we also get better at what we're doing. And I love the final part where you talk about focusing on you. And even if this is my takeaway for today, I think I am done for today. But let's go to Tobi. So Tobi, most of the times we find out that because we are working in the corporate world where there are different generations, there are people who might have been born in their 60s, there are people who might have been born in their 2000s. Sometimes it's difficult to know how to appeal to people from different generations, different backgrounds, maybe even different cultures, different time zones, different countries. So how do we build effective communication skills, and how do we collaborate with our with younger professionals and also with more experienced colleagues in the work?
All right, thank you. I think I would like to approach that question from the perspective of the mandate of the African Association of Young Insurance Professionals, popularly known as WLIAFRA.
Okay.
We believe that the older generation of insurance practitioners all across the continent of Africa, they have the needed knowledge, they have the understanding, they have the experience. And we always believe that the best way to get Africa to where it's supposed to be when it comes to the insurance industry, to see how the older generation can synergize energy with the younger generation of insurance practitioners, just so that we'll be able to get to our destination. And where is our destination? To make sure that insurance works in Africa. There is no one that is competition with any other. I mean, the younger professionals are not in competition with the older generation. What we are all looking for is to have a more corporate environment where insurance would work. I recall when we started the project, I mean, the coming on board of WLIAFRA, some old professionals then, they were skeptical to support. And the reason was basically because they felt these young people are here to dominate, they're here to take over. And to as many as I could speak to them, I told them, I said, there is nothing we are taking over. This is our industry. And there is, no matter what we can tell you that we know, we can tell you that we have the energy, we can tell you that we have the IT skills and everything. But one thing we can tell you for sure is we do not have the needed experience. And the experience is very key and important. So all we are asking the older generations to do is to see how they can build us, train us, so that we can use all the energy that we have, all the technical skills that we claim we have. We want to see how we can synergize it with the experience in which they have. And we believe with that, that would increase the insurance penetration across the African continent. That said, there's an adage in my area which says that no matter how many clothes you think you have as a young individual, you can never have the number of rags in which an older person will have, which means that you can buy Gucci, you can buy whatever you want to buy. But the fact still remains that the older people have the clothes they worn even way before you were born. You can't compare that. Also, I would still like to touchlight again on one funny adage that we always say in my country. They tell you, no matter how young you are, if you climb 10,000 buildings, there's some things you cannot see, while the older person will sit down and see it, right? So how can we do this and make the necessary difference that we want to make? Just by synergizing ideas together, synergizing thoughts together, and then let's make insurance work again in Africa. Because before now, you'd agree with me that the way insurance is being sold all across the continent, I would say a continent because with the little research in which we have done, people will tell you insurance does not work. And the only reason why they will tell you that insurance does not work is because of some old ways in which insurance has been sold, which I always tell my colleagues, I tell some of these young people, even some old people, I say, we need to change the dynamics of how insurance is being sold. Don't let that name, insurance does not work, don't let it be in the forefront any longer. And the reason why someone would tell you that insurance does not work is because maybe at the time of claim, they start coming up with some small prints. Now, those small prints are actually true. Trust me, they are true, but it is the responsibility of a prudent underwriter to let the client know that there are some clauses inherent in this policy So once you share with them those clauses from the beginning, it is their responsibility to either say, yes, I'm good with these clauses or I'm not good. But at least it will be on record that you've actually told them, they are aware. So that once claim happens, you will not start going back and forth and be calling lawyers for each other, right? So in summary, what I just want to approach here is, let's change the way insurance is being done. The older and the younger can work together in harmony and then get to our destination. And where is our destination? Making insurance work again in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tobi. So I like the way you really practicalized it, because sometimes these are things we don't talk about. So we sometimes just gloss over the fact that there can be conflicts between generations. So I really like the fact that you use the YEP story to bring it into context. And one thing you spoke about was acknowledging the experience of the older generation and having a very collaborative spirit and working together to make insurance work. Because at the end of the day, we are all here for our clients and to make the insurance experience better for all of them. So we should be able to work together and to collaborate to make it work. Thank you so much, Tobi. Once again, if you just joined us, welcome to our Zoom webinar on the topic Building Credibility and Influence Across Generations, Unlocking Success in Your Professional Journey. We have Iara Sousa from Mozambique and Tobi Osanaiye from Nigeria here joining us. And they've been sharing their experience. They've been sharing their thoughts as well with us. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. So Iara, I'll come to you now. And now the question is on office politics. So as young professionals, sometimes we fail to acknowledge this, but there is something known as office politics, and it can affect your career if you're not very tactical with dealing with it. So we'd like to ask you, can you give us practical ways that we can deal with office politics? How do we even recognize that there's something going on that might so that our career negatively?
Thank you, Sheila. Let me start with one thing. As human beings, before we start our careers, before we become who we are becoming, we have a background. And one of the key things that we need to do is when we start working, we should remain with our principles. And one of them is integrity. Integrity cannot be negotiable. And regardless of the fact that we are in an environment, we need to set standards that will help us navigate towards complicated workspaces. For instance, communication is key. From the moment that you work in an environment where communication has a few breaches, you start having issue when it comes to deliver information, when it comes to work, or even to have progress in your career. So my main points will be to remain with integrity, be true to yourself, do the right thing, even if no one is watching, and try to empower everyone that is around you. Regardless of the environment that you have, there is always a goal that you can create that will improve, either in terms of skills, either in terms of understanding each other, or even building strong relationships in a working place. It is not easy because we are dealing with different individuals, and at that point, we need to understand each other up to a certain point, but keeping our standard values that we carry from our families and even before the workspace. So my best advice will be to keep integrity in everything that you do, regardless of the fact, regardless of the order that you receive. You always have to find a polite way to show that the mission that I receive now goes against integrity. The mission that I receive now might be a bit difficult to perform because of my integrity values. So it is basically to remain trustworthy and with integrity.
Thank you, Iara. So I like you mentioned that we have to have standards, because even before we came into the workplace, we had certain standards. So we have to keep our integrity. It's something that you kept repeating. And I hope that it keeps bringing in all of us our minds as we navigate our workspaces, always having integrity. You also spoke about being true to ourselves, which I think also can be looked to integrity. And then you spoke about empowering others and then keeping communication open, because sometimes some of the politics is because there is really no communication. So someone can go and say something here and then another representation is made on the other side. But once there are open lines of communication and everyone sort of has a fair idea of what is going on in the conversations, it makes it easier for us to navigate the workspaces. Thank you so much, Iara. I really hope that a lot of us are learning from this, because every single question, I get so many takeaways from it, and I really hope that we are all learning. So Tobi, I'll come to you now. This question is about stereotypes and biases in the workplace. And I think because of your work with YIPS, this might be something that you would have come across a lot. So maybe you can use that to give us practical examples. But how do we address and dismantle age-related stereotypes in the workplace and biases that affect inclusion and diversity in the workplace? For instance, there's a stereotype that old people cannot use laptops or are not technological savvy. Or there's a stereotype that once someone is young, it probably means that they are not experienced or they are lazy. So how do we break those stereotypes in the workplace?
Okay, thank you. Right. I think the perspective in which I would like to look at it from is in an organizational structure. You would agree with me that every management staff or every director of an organization, the major thing that they are worried about is to get a job done, regardless of who gets it done, regardless of whether it's a security officer, regardless of whether it's a cleaner. As far as the job is done, they're good to go, right? However, that brings me to a young insurance professional, or this shouldn't even be stuck on insurance here. Let me just put it as young professional. If you are good at what you do, you will definitely get tasks accorded to you by the top management of your organization in which you work. And when you find yourself in such circumstances, it is the responsibility of that young guy or young girl not to disadvantage his or her own superior or line manager, as the case may be. Take, for example, the managing director of an organization sees a young boy, knows how to use computer, is tech savvy and everything, and maybe the next line manager is a little bit older and doesn't even know how to technologically get things done. Definitely the managing director will call on the young child, like, yes, you know what, we need this thing to be sorted and we need it to come on board. For you to save your head and for you to have a very, very cordial understanding and relationship with someone that is a little bit older than you in the same department in which you are, all I would advise is that once you are being given such a task, you bring on board your line manager, the older person in question, in quotes here, since that's what we're talking about. Try as much as possible to work around such a task with that person. Once you are giving your report back to maybe the managing director, as the case study is here, you have to mention it in there that, yes, this job was not done by only me, myself and my team members. State who they are. Share those information with the fact remains that the job has been done, and then you are carrying them along. That would help you. That would save you from having this, as a star, there's tendency that people will throw stones at you. If you don't want them to throw stones at you, carry them along and make them feel comfortable. In as much as you might even know how to get 100%, get the job done 100% or get the task 100%. Try as much as possible to put the job done. They might not have the technical experience that you don't have. So by the time you are bringing the technological aspect of it on board, they might give you the experience that you don't even have. And at the end of the day, the results you are going to get at the end of the day will make it a whole lot of sense. And then you will still be a star in which you are at the end of the day. So don't just do it all alone. When they are praising you, be very careful. When they are calling your name every now and then, be very careful, because not everybody is happy that they are praising you. Because by praising you, one way or the other, some of them might feel threatened. depending on the corporate culture of that kind of organization. So regardless of the corporate culture in which you see yourself working, try as much as possible to carry everyone along. Whoever does not want to come along with you, that one is none of your own business. Basically, you've done your own part. Do your part and then leave the rest. That's my own take on that.
Thank you. So what I heard you saying was that we have to, what really matters at the end of the day is getting the work done. And most of the time, the most efficient person is the one who gets entrusted with getting the work done. But once you get it done, you also have to take others along with you. So we should share our praise with our teams, because we don't work in isolation. We need other people for our work to also go together. So that's what I heard here. Now, we're going to take a very short poll. It will be put on the screen shortly. And this poll is for everyone in the audience. We are trying to get you engaged and also know your thoughts. So please do well to attend to this poll. Now, our first poll is soft skills versus technical skills. Which one is the most important to get into the top? So that's over to you, our audience. We want to know, what do you think about this? Do you think it's more, soft skills are more important getting to the top, or do you think technical skills are more important? Let us know your thoughts. We'll also pause here for a brief video that we want to share with you. So that will also be queued in shortly. In the meantime, I think before the video gets queued in, I'd like to know your thoughts on this, our panelists, people, because I'm really sure Iara, they'll all go along with that. And if Tobi says hard technical skills, people are going to go along with him too. So I don't want to start a Nigeria-Mozambique war. So maybe I'll keep that. But let me ask another question then. This is a bit more informal, but then it's to our panelists. Iara, you speak so many languages. How do you think that helps you to navigate? Do you think that speaking an extra language makes a big difference if you're working in insurance in Africa, or if you maybe want to work in a more global role or a more Pan-African role? Does speaking an extra language make a big difference?
It definitely makes a difference. Let me start by saying that I'm coming from a Portuguese-speaking country. So it is already a bold move to go to the English-speaking environments and try to fit in, because we are coming from a country where Portuguese is our main language. So when it comes to French, it's also tricky because I'm adding up on top of my Portuguese and my English an extra one. But in terms of career-wise, it is definitely an asset. I'm able to navigate through different environments in different countries with no problems. And I will be honest by saying that it really helped me a lot through the way in my career. It is one of the assets that is really valuable, because I'm able to go to each country in Africa and be able to communicate and address the message that I want to address. So it is basically a great asset.
Thank you, Iara. Tobi, so in your work with WLIAFRA, do you find language to be a barrier when you are working with WLIAFRA?
Okay, thank you for that question. Personally, I would say no. The reason why I'm saying no is at the executive arm of our association, we have people that understand quite a number of languages, right? And for that reason, if we're having meetings with some people that speak Arabic, some people that speak French, some people that speak any language they speak, we have someone in the executive arm of our organization that will definitely know how to interpret these languages. And if you notice, over the few periods in which we've been running our programs, we've been having translation in French, in Arabic, as the case may be, so that everybody can come along, everybody will feel left behind, because we have one Africa. We don't have to be biased, because right now we are speaking of bias. Now we can't say because of the fact that the president, the general secretary speaks English, everybody has to speak English. No, it doesn't work that way. So you need to put everybody into perspective. And anytime we're having our program, as I said, we try as possible to have diverse interpretation so that everybody can be in the same room and understand what we are talking about. Thank you. Sheila, you're on mute. I'm not sure whether you're saying something.
Thank you very much. I'm having a little issue with my video, but then I'm trying to fix it right now. So this question, unfortunately, I have to ask without video. So Iara, this question is to you, and I think it's something that you've done so well, and we want to know what your secret has been, and that's on building a personal and professional brand within the insurance industry. How do you craft a brand that makes people trust you, that makes people want to work with you, that makes people aspire to learn from you and be like you?
Thank you, Sheila. That's a tough one because I'm still trying, and you say that I've achieved, but okay, let's do it. So in my view, personal brand is how people perceive us, how people perceive our skills, our talents, and our qualification. So it is our job to make sure that we manage to deliver the correct message without any noise behind. So one of the things that I would say is that from the moment that you identify your skills, you start leveraging them, and you identify your why, you know your why. Everything that you do will be just a follow-up on the why that you have defined to your career. So basically what I did is that I started my career since I'm, first of all, I'm an engineer. So I had to jump from my previous career to embrace the insurance industry. It was a bold move, yes, but I don't regret it. And I would say that it was one of the best decisions, because now I can see that I fit into the insurance industry. So basically what I did is that for the first years of my career, I was getting technical skills, I was getting knowledge, and I was really understanding the industry that I've decided to join. It was a really tricky process because I really had to start over and learn. I dropped all my titles and I started learning as a trainee. So it was a tough journey, but I don't regret. And then after that, I've realized that the insurance industry is really a gold mine. And from that moment, that's where I started to build my identity. I started to know what I wanted and what I wanted to do and the impact that I wanted to create within the industry. And that's the moment where I start to get in touch with mentors and coach that will help me to reach the point that I want, what I was seeing, the vision that I was seeing. And one of the things that I learned there is the idea of building a personal brand and starting by showcasing the qualifications and the talents that I have, building trust and build resilience and have the ability to network and be among people from different cultures, different countries. And it was a really tough exercise because networking, sometimes we say that it's not for everyone, but it's one thing that we need to learn. So I would say that up to 1 year ago, I was not aware that I've managed to reach a point where people really understand my vision and value my brand. But now there are days that I receive calls that really show that people are seeing what I'm doing and they see value on everything that I'm doing. So I would say that first of all, please set up your goals, set up your why, define everything that you want to do, and from there, build a routine that will keep you going without any doubt. So that's the main point.
Thank you, Iara. I think people are very interested in your transition story. I was also very interested the first time I heard it because I was like, wow, from engineering to underwriting. But then again, it gives you that technical edge that maybe someone who hasn't been in a very, in a STEM field might have. So we are happy you chose to join insurance because we think you are really big. You've been a valuable resource to the industry. Not just in Mozambique, but all across Africa. We are so excited that we have you here, and we hope you pull more people too.
Definitely.
From your field.
Definitely. It's a mission.
No, but that's an inspirational story though. So that tells us that we can do anything once we put our minds to it. And you spoke about goals and whys. I think one thing you've spoken about a lot is goals, because this is not the first time you've mentioned goals. And I think that shows that how intentional you have been about your career, and it shows. And it's something we could also learn from you, to be very intentional about building our careers and not just being passive people when it comes to our own careers. Thanks, Iara. So Tobi, I'd like to ask you another question. What's the last week? So last week we had a Zoom webinar, and it was on, no, 2 weeks ago, it was on emotional intelligence. And I just wanted to know, what's the role that you think emotional intelligence and resilience plays in gaining respect, gaining trust in our careers as insurers?
Okay, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So yes, I think that's actually a very huge question, basically. You agree with me, sometime 3-4 years ago, emotional intelligence was the talk of the town. Wherever you go, you hear about emotional intelligence, books came out on emotional intelligence, because no matter how can I put it, no matter how good you are, if you do not know how to compose yourself when things are not going the way you want it to go, then it might be a very, very big blow for you at the end of the day. Now, we young professionals, I see all of us as stars. I see all of us as someone that, everybody wants to reckon with us in our organization because of the skills in which we have. And once you are good at what you do, there is one automatic thing that comes alongside with it. Whether you like it or not, envy will set in. People would say things that you did not do. If you cough, they tell you that is not how to cough. If they call you, they say, yes, that is MD's boy. They always call him. When you want, whatever you say, they would say no. So there is always this backlash. Once the grace and the oil on your head, if as a young professional, you do not know how to handle circumstances like that, first of all, it can get you off balance. By the time you start getting all those, there's confidence. Emotional intelligence is key for each, and regardless, even this is not pertaining alone to young professionals, generally. So once you can have that mindset when you are going to an organization, or maybe you just got employed in an organization, this intelligence gives you a step ahead. It gives you another level of understanding, so that whatever anybody does to you, it doesn't affect your job, it doesn't affect your capacity. And then one thing again I would like to mention before I wrap up on this particular question that you asked me. In an organization where you work, try as much as possible. Do not backbite. Do not answer questions that you're not asked. Do not jump into what you are not being asked to jump into. Try as much as possible. Have fun in the best way you can. You agree with me that 8 to 5 is a whole lot of time. You spend a whole number of hours with your colleagues at work. But if you don't get it right from the beginning, there's tendency that you lose it. And once you lose it, when you get home, you might not even be able to sleep well at home, because the attitude the wrong attitude that you must have gotten from work, you still take it back home, which will affect your own capacity of even coasting through your career path. So I would say, and I've been saying it, and I'm still going to say that wherever you find yourself, you're a star, and don't allow anybody to draw you back. Don't allow anybody to kill your future, because you, or all of us as young professionals, we are stars in our own way. And if you do not understand something, don't feel bad about it. Ask questions. Don't think everybody knows it all. Tobi, as you see here now, I do not know it all. It might be looking so bright and all. I focus more on my strengths. Where I have strength, I focus on it. Where I have weakness, I don't draw back. I don't only draw back. I ask questions. I let them put me through. And where I feel, okay, I have someone that is superior, that knows how to do it more than me, I bring them on board to do it. All we want is results. And once results is being made, everybody's fine at the end of the day. So very, very important question, as I said. You have to be emotionally sound before you can actually get to the top. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tobi. So I think one thing that you spoke about that stood out to me was that no matter what you're doing, there's going to be a time that you're going to face difficult times in the workplace. And it could be that maybe it could be through a failure, or if it could even be through a success that makes you face that difficult time. But so it's something that we always have to be aware of. But then when it comes to being resilient and navigate, what I understand from what you're saying is that we also have to manage situations. So we have to make sure we're not putting ourselves in situations where it becomes difficult for us emotionally. That's when you spoke about the backbiting, because if you are talking about others, then one day your situation is going to come up. Or if we are forming cliques within our organizations, then one day, more likely than not, we are going to have a hard time. So thank you so much, Tobi, for that insights that she gave us. I like the way you make it very practical, because some of the things you mentioned, there are hard things that we try to politically correct, but we end up not addressing. So when you bring it on board and say it as it is, then we then get to know that perhaps if there are people going through it, they understand that they are not the only ones who are going through it. And there's a way to navigate such situations so that they still end up being okay in the organization. So once again, if you are here with us, this leadership series is being brought to us by Women Leadership in Insurance Africa. And we hope that you are enjoying the discussion. Please let us know, have your comments in the comment section in the chat box. We want to know what you think about the topic that we are talking about. And the topic is building credibility and influence across generations, unlocking success in your professional journey. We have Tobi from WLIDership Africa and FBS Africa, and we have Iara from Mozambique Women in Insurance Africa. She's also the WLIDership Africa rep for Mozambique, and she also happens to be the Women Leadership in Africa rep for Southern Africa, and she's also manager at Emeritus Reinsurance. I think Iara is doing so much. She's wearing so many hats. She speaks about 4 languages, also doing a lot, and she's such a phenomenal person. And we are happy to have both of them here just to have this discussion with us on how we can build credibility across generations as we navigate our career. The first poll, we didn't take a poll, but then we asked a question in the comment box, and that's soft skills versus technical skills. Which one is more important to get into the top? We'd like to know your thoughts on it. So just type it in, let us know. Do you think soft skills are more important? Do you think technical skills are more important? If you finish with the first question and you want a second one, then the second one is, what is the single most important skill every professional needs to have to earn respect and trust in their industry? So what's the single most important skill every professional needs to have to earn respect and trust in their industry? Do you think it's communication skills? Do you think it's leadership skills? Do you think it's being tech savvy? Just let us know your thoughts in the chat box, and we'll be happy to collate it all and let everyone else here know what our audience thinks. So Iara, I'm coming back to you. This question is on continuous learning. And what I want to ask you is, how do you think, actually, I'd like both of you to answer this question, both Iara and Tobi. How do you think, as young professionals, we can embrace continuous learning, we can be adaptable and learn in this rapidly evolving environment? Because I think last year, we were hearing a lot about AI tools. We're hearing a lot about climate change. There was also a lot of talk about microinsurance. And then this year, all of a sudden, we are hearing a lot about technology tools like ChatGPT. And some of us are wondering, like, is there always going to be a new thing coming up? How do I keep up with all these emerging trends? Because we've been hearing about insurtech. We've heard there's always something new coming up. So as a young professional, how do we keep up with the trend?
And depending on the interest that we have, we try and seek more knowledge. So remain teachable. The future is ours.
Thank you, Iara. Tobi, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I'll make mine very brief. Quality. I mean, what is quality today? How can I put it? What is quality today can never be quality tomorrow in the context in which I want to explain here. I remember when I was growing up, I mean, while I was still in the uni, that was when I started my CII examination, basically. As I then, whenever I had examinations to write, I used to see old people, managing directors of companies, made people writing the same examination. And then I asked myself a question. What exactly are these people still looking for? Because I believe at this point in time in your life, you must have attained, you must have had everything you want to have. So why do you still need to bother yourself, coming back to write a CII exam? And that was one of the things that encouraged me, as I said, when I was still in the uni, when I was doing my CII, that whatever these people are looking for at this age of theirs, I've not gotten to that age yet, but I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I'm sure by the time I get to their level, I will understand. So that gave me that push to quickly get myself chartered while I was growing up, right? And that's the reason why I say, that was the order of the day. But as I speak to you now, if anybody sits in his house or a house and says, because I have CII examination qualification, then I'm on top of the world, I'm afraid that is not correct. Because as at then, CII was the order of the day. But now I tell you, CII is just a background, it's a foundation, right? And now there has to be continuous learning. As rightly mentioned, a lot of things are coming up in our industry. We talk of microinsurance, we talk of climate change risks, we talk of different certifications. I mean, and then you need to key into all these things. Now, one thing I always say again is, you might not know everything. If you know microinsurance, if you know AI, if you know all those new risks that we always see, microinsurance and the rest, you don't need to be mastering it. Have an idea. Tomorrow, your organization might decide to set up a unit. And because of the fact that you have an understanding, or at least a little bit of understanding about that particular risk or that particular topic, they might decide to just put you there. And then you can actually see yourself heading that unit, but you're not starting from the scratch. You are starting from somewhere. There's a baseline for you already. So that is one thing I always say. What is quality today might not be quality tomorrow. So keep on learning, keep on tasking your brain, because this brain also needs tasking. Because what you have read 3 years ago, at times if they ask you, there's tendencies that you might have even forgotten part of them. So just keep on reading, keep on tasking your brain, ask questions. Google has made work easy. Once you see something that you're not understanding, ask Google. Google will answer the question for you. And on a final note, I would mention here that while you are passing through all those or training yourself on all those things, please do not forget to key into leadership trainings. Now, leadership trainings come in different perspectives. You can see yourself having leadership training in insurance. Maybe the insurance industry decides to come up with a training, which of course is some of the things that in Africa is into. They give leadership training. In my own case, the first leadership training I had was 2015, which I did in University of San Diego in the United States. I thought that was the best leadership training I would attend, right? I didn't know that was more or less like the bedrock to the list of leadership training that I'm still going to be attending. I went to the United Kingdom. I did another leadership training. That one was totally different from what I thought I knew. I mean, of course, I thought I knew it all, but some other professor emeritus came on board to teach us something different, right? So leadership training are not always enough. As much as possible, get yourself trained in the leadership. So because once you get yourself trained, it will equip you even while you are at work. And it gives you the emotional intelligence regarding the question you asked earlier. It gives that intelligence to coast through any stage of your career. Because what we are all doing as young professionals is we want to get to the top. And how can you get to the top? Engage in leadership trainings, engage in books that has to do with emotional intelligence, engage in career. When it comes to, if you're in the insurance industry, engage in insurance textbooks, read their new laws that come on board, engage in all those things. By the time you put all of these things together, trust me, the sky would be your starting point. So that's all from my end as regards your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tobi. So Iara said, always becoming, and I like that. And you also said, quality today is not quality tomorrow. And I think these are little snippets that we can actually take away with us. Thank you so much. Now we want to know what the audience thinks. First of all, we are going to go to the comment section to see if we have any questions from our audience and if you can address it, Tobi and Iara. Okay, so there are lots of people voting. People said soft skills. Someone said soft skills take you to management roles. Someone said technical skills are important. Soft skills turn the table around. Okay. Iara, that transition story career is very important. We need more of it. Soft skills is a foundation to build technical skills on. Someone is asking a question. Despite insisting on emotional intelligence in the office, we are still facing difficulties from investors, especially family business. Please advise. Okay, I'm not too sure what the question means. But I think what the person wants to know is how you navigate family businesses when it comes to emotional intelligence. And in insurance, a lot of the brokerage firms and even insurance companies are family businesses. So I think that's what the person wants to know. If you're working in a family business, sometimes the dynamics are a bit different. So Iara and Tobi, any of you can take that question and answer.
Okay, so I would just like to mention that family and business, they are two separate things that need to be handled individually, right? So if I'm into a particular business, I would not say, because I have a cousin that is looking for a job and that doesn't have the requisite skills, then I'll go and bring the person on board to take a particular position, maybe take the CFO, maybe the chief financial officer of the organization, someone that does not even have a financial background. We see in most cases, some organizations, they politicize it as a family thing, and then at the end of the day, what happens? It crashes. Once you are heads up about the business you want to do, put family aside. If you have a family member that you want to assist, that you want to help, the best way you can help them, send them to school to go and learn. If they did engineering before in their BSc level, and you need them to come on board to be the chief financial officer of the organization, send them to a financial school, let them learn how it works in the financial world. And when you feel they are capable of coming on board, bring them not as even a CFO, put them in the place where they can learn. And once they learn, you can now bring them on board to come and top any position needed to do. But don't be biased when you are bringing them on board because they are because at the end of the day, trust me, your organization will crash. I think that's my own take on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Tobi. Iara, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, I do. I actually want to quote one of the things that the takeaways that I had from our last emotional intelligence session with Papa, if I'm not mistaken, whereby he said, for everything that happens, don't react. Take a breath, take a decision, and then try to address it. The same situation applies when it comes to family, it comes to your business or anything related. So you are in a situation where you are dealing with the family business. One thing should be clear. There is business and there is family. And we need to make it very clear from the beginning. And the emotional intelligence will help you because you know exactly how to be guided. You know exactly how to avoid the reactions and deal with the situations in a more calm way. So if it is really a family business at the beginning, you set all your records straight and you make sure that everyone understands the dynamics that are involved, because it is a business. You guys are looking for profit. And from the moment that you're looking for profit, your idea should be aligned and clear. It is not just a matter of helping a family member, but it is a matter of business decisions. That's it.
Thank you, Iara. We'll go on now. I just want to introduce WliAFRIca again. WliAFRIca is a leadership network for female professionals who are working in insurance, risk management, and sustainability in Africa and the diaspora. And what we do is that we help to mentor females. We help them also to be mentors, and we are involved in a lot of L&D programs as well, just like this leadership series that you are part of today. So someone has a question here. The person is saying, credibility is still an issue with millennials as employers are looking for energetic manpower for business. What would be the advice to employers and leaders? Credibility is still an issue with millennials as employers are looking for energetic manpower for business. What would be the advice to employers and leaders? Iara and Tobi, will any of you take that? In the meantime, I'd like to acknowledge some people. We have some of the WliAFRIca directors on board right now. We have Emma Okere. She's one of our East African directors. We have Rocky as well. She's one of our West African directors. We have Amma, who is our country director for Ghana. And we also have some of our YIPS directors on board. Mubarak Ibrahim is the Secretary General for YIPS Africa. And we also have Patrick Lowe, who is also one of the directors for YIPS Africa. So thank you all for joining us. And Iara or Tobi, the question is, credibility is still an issue with millennials as employers are looking for energetic manpower for business. What would be the advice to employers and leaders? I think this will be our last question for today, as it's 5 o'clock already. So once you answer that, then we'll be wrapping up.
Okay, so
sorry.
Okay,
I was saying that for everything, as employers, recruiters, we need to keep an open mind for everything that we do. So we were talking about beers and things like that. So that's when it comes in place. We need to keep an open mind. We need to really evaluate the profile and the personal brand of the person applying for it without giving any tag. So I would say that the process of keeping an open mind and be really willing to give opportunities will at some point address it. Thank you.
Thank you, Iara. Tobi,
okay.
Can we get your thoughts on that?
Okay, I think first off, let me recognize the presence as well of our Eswatini country director, Sibu Sisiwe. She's actually on board. And then, of course, for Patrick, he's the vice president of YIPS Africa. So thank you for coming on board. I'm not taking a position, Sheila. I'm just trying to mention them.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, right. So basically, when I talk about credibility, credibility is not always written on the face. Credibility is something that at the end of the day, you have to give people benefit of doubt. And once you give them benefit of doubt, they need to prove you wrong. I was reading one book, I think they said in the Franco, please correct me if I'm wrong. Some places in the Francophone region, once you are coming into their country, they look at you as, regardless of anything you do, they see you as a guilty party unless you prove otherwise. But in some places in Francophone region, right? That is what I heard. Now, in this part of the world, you are not guilty unless you've been proven otherwise. So now, the difference now that I'm trying to just make now is, at the end of the day, they don't write credibility, whether someone is credible or not credible on the face. You might have a gentle face. At the end of the day, you might even be a criminal. You might be a criminal, and then you might have, so opportunity comes first, right? So once you are being given the opportunity as young professionals, how do you make use of that opportunity? This is our profession. I need to mention here that our industry is so small. You would see someone that you've worked with before, maybe when you started your career, before you finish your career, you still work together in the same organization with them. The idea, the understanding, or the character you need to pull at the beginning of your career, it goes a long way, because as I said earlier, the industry is so small and messages pass easily, quickly. So if you do not want your name to be in the mud tomorrow or today, it is always important that you have to be credible in all your dealings. You must not find yourself wanting. You must not see yourself dealing with illegal money. You must not find yourself having dealings, in anti-money laundering and everything. Like, I mean, these things, it comes down to your personal, at the end of the day, it is you. You might put the company at bay, you might put the company into issues, but personally, at the end of the day, when all the dice are being cast, it comes on you at the end of the day. So what legacy do you want to prove to people? What name do you want to give yourself at the end of the day? So credibility, as I said, is very important, and then put it first in whatever thing you are doing, and you go very, very, very far in your career. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tobi. And also soon we have come to the end of today's presentation. We are so happy that we had the two of you on board. I think there's been so many nuggets that you shared, and we really look forward to working with you in time. But I'll just recap some of the key takeaways that I got. Once again, we'll be sharing this recording with everyone. So even if you couldn't join in from the beginning, or if you had to go off at a certain time, you still have the recording. But some of the key takeaways that we got today is that for Tobi, he told us that what matters is getting the work done. So once the person who gets the work done the most is the one who gets the responsibilities. But once you get the responsibilities, you're also supposed to share your praise with your team and then carry everyone along. Iara spoke a lot about personal branding. She spoke about setting goals, knowing your why, defining what you want to achieve and going for it. Tobi spoke about when we are working across generations, we have to recognize that there is no conflict between the two generations, and we also have to have a collaborative spirit and acknowledge that the older learn in everything we do. So you have to work with standards. You also have to communicate within the organization and be true to yourself and empower others. We also had some takeaways that Iara gave us. She spoke about identifying our skills. We should do things that come normally. Our skills and our strengths come from things that come easily, and we have to set professional goals. We have to show evidence about the work that we've done. We have to improve our strengths, build routine, mentor others, because once you're teaching people, you're also learning. And we have to focus on our work and not anyone's work, because at the end of the day, it's about us and how we are growing. And Tobi also spoke about being what is quality today can never be quality tomorrow. So constant, continuous learning. And Iara spoke about being teachable. That's also under continuous learning and always becoming. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was Women Leadership in Insurance Africa, and this is a webinar on building trust across generations. We are so happy we had you on board. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who made this possible, to the team from WliAFRIca, all our directors and country reps. You've been phenomenal working in the background to make today's webinar come on. We also want to say a big thank you to our technical and admin team who always make sure that we are prepared for our webinars, and who work in the background during the webinar to make sure that everything works flawlessly. We took a poll. We asked the question. I think now the final question, I have to actually ask Tobi and Iara what they think. Soft skills versus technical skills. No explanation, choose one. Tobi, you go first. No explanation, just choose one. Soft skills versus technical skills. How do you get to the top? Let me make this easier for you. For management going up, soft skills versus technical skills.
Soft skills.
Soft skills.
Iara went for soft skills. Tobi, what did you go for?
Yeah, I mentioned some skills. I think probably it was the network.
Oh, then I think the line dropped a little bit. So I actually tend to agree with you too, because normally I think that when you are starting your career, technical skills are very important. But as you go higher, most of the time, your people skills and your leadership skills might be what might make a difference between getting a promotion and not getting one. So I tend to agree with you a little bit more. Although we all agree that technical skills 100% have it first, or you're not even going to get a door open for you. Yeah. And we had another question. What is the most important skill anyone should have? Most important skill. Iara, please go first.
Oh, I will say integrity.
Integrity.
Yeah.
I love that, Iara. And I think it's something that ran through all the discussions that you had. You kept so we know that integrity is very important to you. I think we've had some conversations about leadership too, and that was, it was a running theme, a recurring theme. Tobi, what do you think is the most important skill? No explanation.
Sorry, I think I lost you a bit, so I didn't get the question. Can you just come again with the question?
The single most important skill that any leader should have. No explanation, just the skill.
Empathy.
Empathy. Thank you very much. So integrity from Iara, empathy from Tobi. I still don't know what I would go for, so I'll probably take about 3 skills. Thank you so much for coming on board. Thank you very much to the WLIAFRIca team. Thank you to the YIPS team. And thank you for everyone in our audience. You are phenomenal. And we look forward to having you another time when we are having our next series. Thank you and have a lovely evening. You can drop all your questions and comments. We'll leave the view open, the chat box section open for some time, so you can drop all your questions and comments. If you did not sign up and you just joined with the link, then you can also drop your email address so that we can share the recording with you. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.